Here we go. Hopefully, we don't get kicked off.
I don't know what they're going to do. Freedom of use
And please
information.
welcome the 45th president of the United States, Donald Trump.
So they're not going to shake hands? Is he going to go over and shake hands?
He's going to shake his hand. Going to be huge.
There's no reason for
Gentlemen, thanks so much for being here. Let's begin the debate, and let's start with the issue that voters consistently say is their top concern, the economy. President Biden, inflation has slowed, but prices remain high. Since you took office, the price of essentials has increased. For example, a basket of groceries that cost $100 then now costs more than $120. And typical home prices have jumped more than 30%. What do you say to voters who feel they are worse off under your presidency than they were under President Trump?
Take a look at what I was left when I became president and what Mr. Trump left me.
Oh, my.
We had an economy that was in free fall. The pandemic was so badly handled. Many people were dying. All he said was, it's not that serious. Just inject a little bleach into your arm. You'll be all right. The economy collapsed. There were no jobs. Unemployment rate rose to 15%.
I think he practiced too much. He lost his voice.
So what we had to do is try to put things back
together. Is he going to blink?
And that's exactly what we began to do. We created
making up stuff. I mean, he says it wasn't that serious. He created a whole new vaccine, and there was a bunch of things that Trump did.
There's more to be done. There's more to be done. Working class people are still in trouble.
More people die.
I come from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I come of a household where the kitchen table, if the things weren't able to be met during the month, it was a problem. Price of eggs, the price of gas, the price of housing.
That's just when you hit your friend Corn Pops, he give you a little loan with a VIG on it, and you make it through the month.
Problems. And we're going to make sure that we reduce the price of housing.
He's not yelling, so I don't know if he's on Adderall.
2 million new units. We're going to make sure we cap rents.
Yeah, he's like low, you know what I mean, low tone.
But he looks like he's reading from a teleprompter to me.
In addition to that,
you think that question's cold?
If you take a look at all that was done in his administration,
he already pre-know the questions. You know that.
By the time he left, there
was super monotone.
Literally chaos.
Yeah.
And so we put things back together. We created, I said,
like a robot.
Jobs. We make sure we had a situation.
Trump gonna eat him up.
We brought down the price of prescription drugs, which is a major issue.
People think he can live 4 more years?
$15 for an insulin shot as opposed to $400. No senior has to pay more than $200 for any drug, all the drugs.
Man, I can't turn him. Can you turn him up at E-Work? I really can't hear this guy.
No, it's full blast, Bug.
Sound like he's whispering in your ear.
Yeah,
and that's what we're going to get done.
He's getting ready to take a shower with Ashley.
We have the greatest economy in the history of our country. We have never done so well. Everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us. We got hit with COVID. And when we did, we spent the money necessary so we wouldn't end up in a Great Depression, the likes of which we had in 1929. By the time we finished, so we did a great job. We got a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for the military, and no wars and so many other things. Everything was rocking good. But the thing we never got the credit for, and we should have, is getting us out of that COVID mess. He created mandates that was a disaster for our country. But other than that, we had given them back a country where the stock market actually was higher than pre-COVID, and nobody thought that was even possible. The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants and bounce back jobs, a bounce back from the COVID. He has not done a good job. He's done a poor job, and inflation's killing our country.
Good job bringing up the bounce back jobs.
Thank you, President Biden.
I thought he did pretty good with that.
The greatest economy in the world. He's the only one.
Let's get ready to mumble.
He had the greatest economy in the world. And, you know, the fact of the matter is that we found ourselves in a situation
juice ain't kicked in.
His economy, he rewarded the wealthy. He had the largest tax cut in American history, $2 trillion. He raised a deficit larger than any president has.
He's proud of that, too.
He's the only president other than Herbert Hoover who's lost more jobs than he had when he began, since Herbert Hoover. The idea that he did something that was significant. And the military.
Did the government tell everybody to stay home?
When he was president, they were still killing people in Afghanistan. He didn't do anything about that. When he was president, we were still finding ourselves in a position where you had a notion that we were this safe country. The truth is, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did.
President Trump, I want to follow up if I can.
Am I allowed to respond to him?
Well, I'm going to ask you a follow-up. You can do whatever you want with the minute that we give you. I want to follow up. You want to impose a 10% tariff on all goods coming into the U.S. How will you ensure that that doesn't drive prices even higher?
It's not going to drive them higher. It's just going to cost countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many others, in all fairness to China. It's going to just force them to pay us a lot of money, reduce our deficit tremendously, and give us a lot of power for other things. But he made a statement. The only thing he was right about is I gave you the largest tax cut in history. I also gave you the largest regulation cut in history. That's why we had all the jobs. And the jobs went down and then they bounced back. And he's taking credit for bounce back jobs. You can't do that. He also said he inherited 9% inflation. No, he inherited almost no inflation, and it stayed that way for 14 months. And then it blew up under his leadership because they spent money like a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing, and they don't know what
Like
they were
drunken
doing.
sailors.
Probably the worst administration.
I resemble that remark.
There's never been.
I know.
And as far as Afghanistan is concerned, I was getting out of Afghanistan, but we were getting out with dignity, with strength, with power. He got out. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country's life.
President Trump, over the last 8 years, under both of your administrations, the national debt soared to record highs. And according to a new nonpartisan analysis, President Trump, your administration approved $8.4 trillion in new debt, while so far, President Biden, you've approved $4.3 trillion in new debt. So, former President Trump, many of the tax cuts that you signed into law are set to expire next year. You want to extend them and go even further, you say. With the U.S. facing trillion-dollar deficits and record debt, why should top earners and corporations pay even less in taxes than they do now?
Because the tax cuts spurred the greatest economy that we've ever seen just prior to COVID. And even after COVID, it was so strong that we were able to get through COVID much better than just about any other country. But we spurred, that tax spurred. Now, when we cut the taxes, as an example, the corporate tax was cut down to 21% from 39%, plus beyond that. We took in more revenue with much less tax, and companies were bringing back trillions of dollars back into our country. The country was going like never before, and we were ready to start paying down debt. We were ready to start using the liquid gold right under our feet, the oil and gas right under our feet. We were going to have something that nobody else has had. We got hit with COVID. We did a lot to fix it. I gave him an unbelievable situation with all of the therapeutics and all of the things that we came up with. We gave him something great. Remember, more people died under his administration, even though we had largely fixed it. More people died under his administration than our administration, and we were right in the middle of it, something which a lot of people don't like to talk about. But he had far more people dying in his administration. He did the mandate, which is a disaster, mandating it. The vaccine went out. He did a mandate on the vaccine, which is the thing that people most objected to about the vaccine. And he did a very poor job, just a very poor job. And I will tell you, not only poor there, but throughout the entire world, we're no longer respected as a country. They don't respect our leadership. They don't respect the United States anymore. We're like a third world nation between weaponization
Rockin Roll Rebel.
of his election, trying to go after his political opponent, all of the things he's done. We've become like a third world nation, and it's a shame. The damage he's done to our country. And I'd love to ask him, and will, why he allowed millions of people to come in here from prisons, jails, and mental institutions to come into our country and destroy our country.
President Trump, we will get to immigration later in this block.
We will
President
not let
Biden,
him answer that question.
Yeah, we're not going to let him answer that
question about the national debt.
He had the largest national debt of any president in a 4-year period, number one. Number two, that $2 trillion tax cut benefited the very
I like
wealthy.
this Godfather thing.
What I'm
Like,
going to do is fix the tax
on my
system.
daughter's wedding.
We have 1,000 trillionaires in America. I mean, billionaires.
He's going to lose his voice by
What's
the
happening? They're in a
debate.
situation where
They got trillionaires and billionaires.
Die on stage.
they just paid 24%.
Did you guys see the secret sauce link that I posted?
It made
Yeah,
us
I did.
$500 million, billion dollars, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with.
It's starting. It's starting.
Look,
He's early.
if
What the?
we finally beat Medicare,
Did they not juice
Thank
him
you,
on
President
purpose?
Biden. President Trump.
Just
Well, he's
cut
right.
him
He
off.
did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare. because all of these people are coming in. They're putting them on Medicare. They're putting them on Social Security. They're going to destroy Social Security. This man is going to single-handedly
Biden just had a moment,
destroy
dude.
Social Security. These millions and millions of
He had
people
like
coming
4
in,
of them.
they're trying to put them on Social Security. He will
Is he
wipe out
resetting?
Social Security. He will wipe out
That's a
Medicare.
reboot.
So he was right in the way he finished that sentence. And
They're
it's
gonna
a
have to shoot him
shame.
in the ass
What's
at the
happened
commercial
to our
break.
country in the last 4 years is not to be believed. Foreign countries, I'm friends with a lot of people. They cannot believe what happened to the United States of America. We're no longer respected.
We've got
They-
somebody in the
they
back with a
don't
blowgun.
like us.
Tui.
Give them everything they want, and they think we're stupid. They think we're very stupid people. What we're doing for other countries, and they do nothing for us. What this man has done is absolutely criminal.
Thank you, President Trump. Dana?
This
Hell
is the
yeah.
first presidential election since the Supreme Court
Biden's
overturned
getting
Roe
fired up.
Drink.
This morning. The court ruled on yet another abortion case, temporarily allowing emergency abortions to continue in Idaho, despite that state's restrictive ban.
You've had these questions for
Former
2 weeks,
President
Joe.
Trump,
Come on.
You take credit for the
He was in
decision
Camp David for
to
10
overturn
days.
Roe v. Wade, which returned the issue of abortion to the states.
Correct.
However, the federal government still plays a role in whether or not women have access to abortion pills. They're used in about 2/3 of all abortions. As president, would
Plan
you
B.
block abortion medication?
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion bill, and I agree with their decision to have done that, and I will not block it.
The right
And
move.
if you look at this whole question
Right
that you're
move
asking,
to support the
complex,
institution.
but not really complex. 51 years ago, you had Roe v. Wade, and everybody wanted to get it back to the states. Everybody, without exception. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, everybody wanted it back. Religious leaders. And what I did is I put 3 great Supreme Court justices on the court, and they happened to vote in favor of killing Roe v. Wade and moving it back to the states. This is something that everybody wanted. Now, 10 years ago or so, they started talking about how many weeks and how many this, getting into other things. But every legal scholar throughout the world, the most respected, wanted it brought back to the states. I did that. Now the states are working it out. If you look at Ohio, it was a decision that was an end result that was a little bit more liberal than you would have thought. Kansas, I would say the same thing. Texas is different. Florida is different. But they're all making their own decisions right now. And right now, the states control it. That's the vote of the people. Like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions. I am a person that believes. And frankly, I think it's important to believe in the exceptions. Some people, you have to follow your heart. Some people don't believe in that. But I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think it's very important. Some people
Does the
don't. Follow
president
your
look
heart. But you have to get elected also. And
He's about to
because that
fall
has
over,
to
it
do
looks
with
like.
other things. You got to get elected. The problem they
Hold
have
there,
is
BS
they're
Bros.
radical because they will take the life of a child in the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth. After birth, if you look at the former governor of Virginia, he was willing to do this. He said, we'll put the baby aside and we'll determine what we do with the baby, meaning we'll kill the baby. What happened is we brought it back to the states, and the country is now coming together on this issue. It's been a great thing.
Thank you. President Biden?
It's been a terrible thing.
I haven't heard him cut anyone
The
off
fact
yet.
is that
Must
the
be
vast majority of
AI.
counselors and scholars supported Roe when it was decided. Supported Roe. And
Oh, I think
that
they
was-
went pretty
this
hardcore
idea
with
that they're all
their
against it is
rules
just
on this.
ridiculous. And this is the guy who says the state should be able to have it. We're in a state where in 6 weeks.
They must have a
you
time clock
you
right
don't
in
even
front
know
of
if you're
them.
pregnant or not, but you cannot see a doctor and have him decide on what your circumstances are, whether you need help. The idea that states are able to do this is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states. Let each state have a different rule. Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just was murdered, and he went to
Because
the
of
funeral.
Biden's open border
And
policy.
Yeah,
the
looks like
idea
he's
that
reading a
she was
teleprompter.
murdered by an
It
immigrant.
really does. He looks
coming
at
in
the same spot
to
every
talk
time.
about that. But here's the deal.
That may be why
There's
they
a
didn't
lot
want
of
the outside
young
reporters into
women
that
being
building.
raped by their in-laws.
I hope
I'm
Trump
surprised
calls
Trump
them.
doesn't say it. Yeah, call his ass
Oh,
out.
hold up. Is that the terms? There's nobody in there but
Just
CNN, Donald
we can do
Trump, and
nothing about it.
Biden?
Yeah,
There's
no-
one
no
White
one else
House
is allowed.
pool
Thank you.
reporter in there. Just one White House
And
pool
many
reporter.
young women murdered by the same people he allows to come across our border.
There you go.
We have a border
Thank
that's
you.
the most dangerous place
Trump is
anywhere in the world.
hitting it out of
Consider
the
the most
ballpark right
dangerous place anywhere in the world. And he opened it up. And
Yeah,
these
Joe, there was
killers are
also
coming
talk
into
that
our
they were going to
country,
copyright
and they are
strike any of these
raping and
streams too.
killing
So
women. and it's a terrible thing. As far as the abortion is concerned, it
That's
is
why
now
we
back
have
with
to
the
give
states. The
commentary
states are voting.
protected by the First
In
Amendment
many
commentary,
cases,
and
it's
Elon Musk upheld
frankly a
that as
very
well.
liberal
Said
decision. In
he
many
wouldn't
cases,
take any
it's the
streams down that are
opposite.
commentating.
But they're voting, and it's
Yeah.
bringing it back to the vote of the people, which is what
YouTube's
everybody
different,
wanted,
but extra safer
including
than
the
Musk.
founders, if they knew about this issue.
Yeah, my
which
channel's
frankly
still up
they
on
didn't.
YouTube, so they
But
haven't
they would
struck
have.
me yet.
Everybody wanted brought back. Ronald Reagan
And
wanted
Rumble.
it brought back. He wasn't able to get it. Everybody wanted it brought back, and many presidents had tried to get it back. I was the one to do it. And again, this gives it the vote of the people, and that's where they wanted it. Every legal scholar wanted it that way.
Staying on the topic of abortion, President Biden,
They're
7
killing the
states.
abortion topic.
Yeah.
I'll let you do that.
Look at his
This
face.
is the same topic.
He gets to
7
take a
states
poo-poo.
have no legal restrictions
Yeah,
on
I don't
how
think they
far
choose
into a
them for this.
pregnancy a woman can
No,
obtain
obviously
an
not.
abortion. Do you support any legal limits on how late a woman should be able to terminate a pregnancy?
I supported Roe v. Wade, which had 3 trimesters. First time was between
Trimesters.
the woman and the doctor. Second time is between the doctor and an extreme situation. The
That was
third time
redundant,
between
wasn't it?
the
3
doctor,
trimesters.
I mean, between the woman and the state. The idea that the politicians, that the founders wanted the politicians to be the ones making decisions about women's health is ridiculous. That's the last. No politician should be making that decision. A doctor should be making those decisions. That's how it should be run. That's what you're going to do.
Trump
And
looks
if
like he
I'm
wants to
elected, I'm
smack
gonna
the shit out of him
restore
real
Roe v.
quick.
Wade.
Yeah.
He can
Trump's waiting for the
take the
kill
life
shot,
of the
I think.
baby in the
Oh,
ninth
there's the
month
hand.
and
There's
even
the hand.
after
It's
birth,
gonna be
because
huge.
some states, Democrat run, take it after birth. Again, the former governor of Virginia, put the baby down, then we decide what to do with it. So he's willing to, as we say, rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month and kill the baby. Nobody wants that to happen, Democrat or Republican.
Joe
Nobody
Biden's
wants it
gonna
to
blow up.
happen.
Yeah, he's
That
about
is
to blow
simply
gas.
not true.
Turn his microphone off.
Roe v. Wade does not provide for that. That's not the circumstance. Only if a woman's life is in danger, she's going to die. That's the only circumstance in which that can happen. But we are not for late-term abortion, period. Period.
I don't
Roe
think
v.
he knows
Wade,
his own
you have
policy.
Late-term abortion. You can do whatever you want, depending on the state. You can do whatever you want. We don't think that's a good thing. We think it's a radical thing. We think the Democrats are the radicals, not the Republicans.
There you go.
51
There you
years, that was the
go.
law. 51 years, constitutional scholarship said it was the right way to go. 51 years, and it was taken away because this guy put very conservative members on the Supreme Court. He takes credit for taking it away. What's he going to do? What's he going to do, in fact, if the MAGA Republicans, he gets elected, and the MAGA Republicans control the Congress, and they pass a universal ban on abortion, period, across the board at 6 weeks or 7 or 8 or 10 weeks, something very,
He already said he
conservative.
wouldn't sign
Is he
that.
going to sign that bill? I'll veto it. He'll sign it.
Thank you.
Let's turn now to the issue of immigration and border security. President
They got
Biden,
him off.
a record number of migrants have illegally crossed the southern border on your watch. Overwhelming border states and overburdening cities such as New York and Chicago, and in some cases causing real safety and security concerns. Given that, why should voters trust you to solve this crisis?
Because we worked very hard to get a bipartisan agreement that not only changed all of that, it made sure that we are in a situation where you had no circumstance where they could come across the border with the number of border police there are now. We significantly increased the number of asylum officers. By the way, the Border Patrol endorsed my position. In addition to that,
The Border Patrol did?
They got a pay
when
raise.
he was president. He was
I think it was the
separating
Border
babies
Patrol
from
Union
the
that did it.
mothers, putting them in
Oh.
cages, making sure the families were
Because I thought
separated.
the border, they were
That's not
fighting
the
them
right
in the
way to
Senate.
go.
And they were saying,
What
I'm
I've
not
done
listening
since
to the
I've
White House
changed
or
the
Joe
law,
Biden.
What's happened? I've changed it in a
We're
way
going to build that
now
wall.
You're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. That's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we have the safest border in the history of our country. All he had to do was leave it. All he had to do was leave it. He decided to open up our border, open up our country to people that are from prisons, people that are from mental institutions, insane asylum, terrorists. We have the largest number of terrorists coming into our country right now, all terrorists, all over the world, not just in South America, all over the world. They come from the Middle East, everywhere, all over the world, they're pouring in. And this guy just left it open. And he didn't need legislation because I didn't have legislation. I said, close the border. We had the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that, but they endorsed me for president.
Scott
Brandon,
said
just be
12
cool.
minutes into the debate, it's already over. They're
We
going to
had
have
the
to replace
safest border
Biden
in
when this is
history.
over.
Now we
You
have
ain't
the border
lying.
in history.
I think
There's
that's why they did this
nothing
on
like
purpose,
it.
didn't
And
drug them
people are
up and
dying
just
all
gonna
over
hang
the
them.
place, including the people that are coming up in
Thank you,
caravans.
President Trump. President Biden?
The only terrorist who's done anything crossing the border is one who came along and killed 3 under his administration, killed an Al Qaeda person come in his
What?
administration,
What?
killed 3 American soldiers. That's the only terrorist that's there. I'm not saying that no terrorist ever got through, but the idea they're emptying their prisons. We're
What the hell is he talking about?
It's simply not true. There's no data to support what he said. Once again, he's exactly
El Salvador is
lying.
emptying out their prisons.
President
Amen.
Trump, staying on the topic of immigration,
Amen.
you said you're going to carry out, quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, unquote. Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant in America, including those who have jobs, including those whose spouses are citizens, and including those who have lived here for decades? And if so, how will you do it?
Just 1 second. He said we killed 3 people. The people we killed are al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, the 2 greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists
The 3
anywhere in the
people is
world.
those 2
And
people.
it had a huge impact on everything, not just
Who's the
border,
third?
on everything.
I don't know.
He's the one that killed people with the bad water, including hundreds of thousands of people dying and also killing our citizens when they come in.
Biden was
We are
awful,
living
bro.
right now in a rat's nest. They're killing our people in
They
New
can't even
York,
show 'em
in
on TV.
California, in every state in the union, because we don't have borders anymore. Every state is now a border. And because of his ridiculous, insane, and very stupid policies, people are coming in and they're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen. We call it migrant crime. I call it Biden migrant crime. They're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen before. And you're reading it like these 3 incredible young girls over the last few days. One of them, I just spoke to the mother, and they just had the funeral for this girl, 12 years old. This is horrible what's taken place. What's taken place in our country, we're literally an uncivilized country now. He doesn't want it to be. He just doesn't
Joe's
want
like, what is he talking
opened the
about? They
borders.
didn't tell me
Nobody's
about
ever
that.
seen anything like. And we have to get a
This
lot of
wasn't
these
in my
people out,
debate
and we have to
prep.
get them out fast because they're going to destroy our country. Just take a look at where they're living. They're living in luxury hotels in New York City and other places. Our veterans are on the street. They're dying because he doesn't care about our veterans. He doesn't care. He doesn't like the military at all. And he doesn't care about our veterans. Nobody been worse. I had the highest approval rating for veterans taking
Get 'em.
care of the VA. He has the worst. He's got
I
rid
agree
of
with you,
all the things that
Killmister.
I
I
approved.
100%
Choice
agree.
that I got through Congress, all of the different things I approved, they abandoned. We had by far the highest, and now it's down in less than half because he's done all these great things that we did. And I think he did it just because I approved it, which is crazy. But he has killed so many people at our border by
Thank you,
allowing
President Trump.
all of these people to come in. And
President
it's a
Biden?
very sad day in America.
President Biden, you have the mic.
Every single thing he said is a lie.
Yeah.
Every single one.
Every
For
damn thing you
example,
said is a
veterans are a
lie.
hell of a lot better off since I passed the PACT Act.
Oh
1
my
million
God.
of them now have insurance.
You
and
should
their
have seen what I
families
said,
have
the
it.
corn pop.
Their families have it because what happened, whether it was Agent Orange or burn pits, they're all being covered now. And he opposed, his group opposed that. We're also in a situation where we have great respect for veterans. My son spent a year in Iraq. And then he
Uh-oh.
went next to one of those burn pits, came back with stage 4 glioblastoma. I was recently in France for D-Day.
Where I shit my
and
pants.
I spoke all about those heroes that died. I went to the World War II cemetery, World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his 4-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser,
That's a
was not
lie.
a sucker.
Oh,
You're
my.
the sucker. You're the loser.
Ooh.
President Trump?
Ooh.
First of all, that was a made-up quote, suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in a third-rate magazine that's failing, like many of these magazines.
Yeah.
He made that up.
Now look
He
somewhere
put
else
it in
before I smack the
commercials.
shit out of
We
you.
notified him.
Trump
We
composed
had
himself real
19
good there.
people that
Made
said I
Biden
didn't say it.
silly.
And think of this. Who would say I'm at a cemetery or I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taken better care. I'm so glad this came up and he brought it up. There's nobody that's taken better care of our soldiers than I have. To think that I would, in front of generals and others, say suckers and losers. We have 19 people that said it was never said by me. It was made up by him, just like Russia was made up, just like
We're
the
at almost
51
500 people on
intelligence
X.
agents
Yeah,
are
it's
made up.
629
Just like the
listening right
new
now
thing with
live.
the
Thank you.
16 economists are talking. It's the same thing. 51 intelligence agents said that the laptop was Russia disinformation. It
Ooh, got him.
wasn't. That came from his son, Hunter. It wasn't Russia disinformation. He made up the suckers and losers. So he should apologize to me right now.
4-star General
Yeah, that's
standing
right.
aside who was on your staff who said you said it, period. That's number one. And number two, the idea that I have to apologize to you for anything along the line. We've done more for veterans than any president has in American history. And they now are in their family. The only sacred obligation we have as a country is to care for our veterans when they come home and their families and equip them when they go to war. That's what we're doing. That's what the VA is doing now. They're doing more for veterans than ever before in our history.
All right. Thank you so much.
I 100% disagree
Topic
with
of
that.
foreign policy.
Yeah.
I want to begin with Russia's war against Ukraine, which is now in its third year. Former President Trump, Russian
And I'm sure
President
fake news is
Vladimir
agreeing with all
Putin
that
says
shit.
he'll only end this war
It's gonna be curious
if
how they
Russia
clip it.
keeps the
Well,
Ukrainian
he's doing a great
territory
job
it has
making
already
Trump look like
claimed,
an idiot.
and
You
Ukraine
call him a
abandoned.
sucker and a loser. What happened?
And our soldiers can't stand this guy. They can't stand him. They think he's the worst commander in chief, if that's what you call him,
How much do we
that
lose?
we've ever had. They can't stand him. So let's get that straight. And they like me more than just about any of them. And that's based on every single bit of information. As far as Russia and Ukraine, if we had a real president, a president that knew, that was respected by Putin, he would have never invaded Ukraine.
Gavin
A lot of people are dead right now, much more than people know. You know, they talk about numbers. You can double those numbers, maybe triple those
I'll
numbers.
tell you what's funny is
He did
whatever
nothing.
staffer
In fact, I think he
is
encouraged
twittering
Russia
on
going in.
Biden's
I'll tell you what
Twitter
happened. It
account
was
right
so
now is
bad
getting
with
flamed.
Afghanistan. It was such a horrible embarrassment, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, that when Putin watched that and he saw the incompetence, that he should have fired those generals, like I fired the one that you mentioned. And so he's got no love lost, but he should have fired those generals. No general got fired for the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, Afghanistan, where we
Somebody
left
made a comment. It's like,
billions of
this is so
dollars of
weird. I see you
equipment
talking on
behind.
TV.
We
How are
lost
you tweeting
13
this?
beautiful soldiers, and 38 soldiers were obliterated. And by the way, we left people behind too. We left American citizens behind. When Putin saw that, he said, you know what? I think we're going to go in and maybe take this was his dream. I talked to him about it, his dream. The difference is he never would have invaded Ukraine. Never. Just like Israel would have never been invaded
If I was
in a
president.
million years by Hamas. You know why? Because Iran was broke with me. I wouldn't let anybody do business with them. They ran out of money. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for anything, no money for terror. That's why you had no terror at all during my administration. This place, the whole world is blowing up under him.
President Biden?
I've never heard so much malarkey in my whole life. Look, the fact of the matter is,
Malarkey.
Yeah,
we're in a
I already
situation where,
reported
let's
the
take
Joe
last one
Biden
first.
account. I said he's been hacked
Iran
by
attacked
somebody.
American troops.
I reported him twice.
Caused brain damage for a number of these troops, and he did nothing about it. Recently, not when he was president, they attacked. He said they're just having headaches. That's all it is. He didn't do a thing when the attack took place. Number one. Number two, we got over 100,000 Americans and others out of Afghanistan during that airlift. Number three, we found ourselves in a situation where, if you take a look at what Trump did in Ukraine, this guy told Trump, do whatever you want and do whatever you want. And that's exactly what Trump did to Putin, encourage him, do whatever you want. And he went in. And listen to what he said when he went in. He was going to take Kyiv in 5 days, remember? Because it's part of the old Soviet Union. That's what he wanted to reestablish, Kyiv. And he, in fact, didn't do it at all. He wasn't able to get it done. And they've lost thousands and thousands of troops, 500,000 troops.
Yeah, thank you. The
President Trump,
teleprompter, I'm going to turn it off.
For 1 minute, I just want to go back to my original question, which is, are Putin's terms acceptable to you? Keeping the territory in Ukraine?
No, they're not acceptable. But look, this is a war that never should have started. If we had a leader in this war, he led everybody along. He's given $200 billion now or more to Ukraine. He's given $200 billion. That's a lot of money. I don't think there's ever been
You got
anything like it.
580
Every
listeners on
time
your
that
channel, Joe.
Zelensky comes to this
that's
country, he walks away with
$703
$60 billion.
total.
He's the greatest salesman ever. And I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking anything. I'm only saying the money that we're spending on this war, and we shouldn't be spending, it should have never happened. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect before I take office on January 20th. I'll have that war settled. People being killed so needlessly, so stupidly, and I will get it settled, and I'll get it settled fast before I take office.
President Biden, you have a minute.
The fact is that Putin is a war criminal. He's killed thousands.
That's one of the
thousands of
bingo
people.
ones. I'm not sure which
And
one.
he
That's
has
one of
made
them.
one thing clear. He wants to reestablish what was part of the Soviet Empire, not just a piece. He wants all of Ukraine. That's what he wants. And then you think he'll stop there? Do you think he'll stop when if he takes Ukraine? What do you think happens to Poland? What do you think of Belarus? What do you think happens to those NATO countries? And so if you want a war, you ought to find out what he's going to do, because if in fact he does what he says and walks away, by the way, all that money we give Ukraine are from weapons we make here in the United States. We give them the weapons, not the money at this point. And our NATO allies have produced as much funding for Ukraine as we have. That's why we're strong.
Thank you. Moving on to the Middle East. In October, Hamas attacked Israel, killing more than 1,000 people and taking hundreds of hostages. Among those held and thought to still be alive are 5 Americans. Israel's response has killed thousands of Palestinians and created a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. President Biden, you've put forward a proposal to resolve this conflict, but so far Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive in Gaza. So what additional leverage will you use to get Hamas and Israel to end the war? You have 2 minutes.
Number one.
He already said he ended it the day after Trump got the convictions, remember?
Security Council, straight through to the G7, to the Israelis, and Netanyahu himself have endorsed the plan I put forward, which has 3 stages to it. The first stage is trade the hostages for a ceasefire. Second phase is a ceasefire with additional conditions. The third phase is the end of the war. The only one who wants the war to continue is Hamas. Number one.
What was the phase where they had to level it into a parking lot?
To get them to accept. In the meantime, what's happened?
That's an advanced phase, dude.
That's my favorite phase.
Was 1,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well.
That phase comes right before my favorite phase, opening a glass mine.
Providing Israel with all the weapons they need and when they need them. And by the way, I'm the guy that organized the world against Iran when they had a full-blown intercontinental ballistic missile attack.
Intercontinental?
No one was hurt. No one Israeli was accidentally killed.
Look at this dumb motherfucker.
We saved Israel. We are the biggest producer of support for Israel of anyone.
Trump's just laughing his ass off.
So they're 2 different things.
Trump has had exactly one gaffe.
Yeah, if anyone has this guy sign in his yard, he's fucking taking it out right now.
Like we did Bin Laden. You don't have to do it. And by the way, they've been
Honey, go get that sign out of the front yard.
Yeah.
How are they going to spend this
stuff?
though?
Eliminated. But you've got to be.
Oh, he's doing a great job. That's what fake news CNN's going to say.
Population centers.
Population centers.
Go back to Ukraine for 1 second. We have an ocean separating us. The European nations together have spent 100 billion, or maybe more than that, less than us. Why doesn't he call them and say, you got to put up your money like I did with NATO? I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. The Secretary General of NATO said Trump did the most incredible job I've ever seen. They wouldn't have any, they were going out of business. We were spending almost 100% of the money was paid by us. He didn't do that. He's getting you got to ask these people to put up the money. We're over $100 billion more spent, and it has a bigger impact on them because of location, because we have an ocean in between. You got to ask them. As far as Israel and Hamas, Israel's the one that wants to go. He said the only one that wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
President Biden, you have a minute.
And there's $120 billion to Ukraine in the last.
Shots fired.
Not in NATO. The idea that we have our strength lies in our alliances as well. It may be a big ocean, but we're ever able to avoid a war in Europe, a major war in Europe? What happens if, in fact, you have Putin continue to go into NATO? We have an Article 5 agreement. Attack on one is attack on all. You want to start the nuclear war he keeps talking about, go ahead. Let Putin go in and control Ukraine. And
what? Nuclear what?
Another place.
Oh, my.
See what happens then. He has no idea what the hell he's talking about.
I think he's just following the talking points he's supposed to talk about with the individual question, not listening to what Trump's saying.
Ukraine, including Japan and South Korea, because they understand that this kind of dislocation has a serious threat to the whole world peace. No major.
It looks like he's reading a teleprompter. If you ask me, he's looking at.
President Trump, just to follow up,
he was at Camp
would
David
you support the creation of an independent Palestinian state in order to achieve peace in the region?
I'd have to see, but before we do that, the problem we have is that we spend all the money. So they kill us on trade. I made great trade deals with the European nations because if you add them up, they're about the same size economically. Their economy is about the same size as the United States. And they were no cars, they don't want anything that we have, but we're supposed to take their cars, their food, their everything, their agriculture. I changed that. But the big thing I changed is they don't want to pay. And the only reason that he can play games with NATO is because I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. I said, and he's right about this, I said, no, I'm not going to support NATO if you don't pay. They asked me that question, would you guard us against Russia? At a very secret meeting of the 28 states at that time, nations at that time. And they said, no, if you don't pay, I won't do that. And you know what happened? Billions and billions of dollars came flowing in the next day and the next months. But now we're in the same position. We're paying everybody's bills.
Let's turn to the issue of democracy.
True story.
President Trump, I want to ask you about January 6, 2021.
Yeah, January 6th. Let's do it.
That day. Some of them stormed the Capitol to stop the constitutional
fake news leading the charge.
Votes. As president, you swore an oath to, quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution. What do you say to voters who believe that you violated that oath through your actions and inaction on January 6th and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I don't think too many believe that. And let me tell you about January 6th. On January 6th, we had a great border. Nobody coming through, very few. On January 6th, we were energy independent. On January 6th, we had the lowest taxes ever. We had the lowest regulations ever. On January 6th, we were respected all over the world. All over the world, we were respected. And then he comes in, and we're now laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid people. What happened to the United States' reputation under this man's leadership is horrible, including weaponization, which I'm sure at some point you'll be talking about, where he goes after his political opponent because he can't beat him fair and square.
You have 80 seconds left. My question was, what do you say to those voters who believe that you violated your constitutional oath through your actions and inaction on January 6, 2021, and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I didn't say that to anybody.
900 people and going, baby. Let's go.
And Nancy Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago, on tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, they say,
oh, they might cut him
saying, oh, no, it's my responsibility. I was responsible for this because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them down. And the mayor in writing, by the way, the mayor in writing turned it down, the mayor of D.C.
Mayor
They
Bowser.
turned it down. I offered 10,000 because I could see I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be there on January 6th. They're going to be there. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it too, and you could feel it. And I said, they ought to have some National Guard or whatever. And I offered it to her. And she now admits that she turned it down.
Didn't like the look.
It was the same day she was, I don't know, she can't be very happy with her daughter because it made her into a liar. She said, I take
they didn't
full
like the optics.
responsibility for January 6th.
President Biden?
Look, he encouraged those folks to go up on Capitol Hill, number one. I sat in the dining room off the Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours watching, begging, being begged by his vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something, to call for a stop, to end it. Instead,
he did, but they took the tweet down, remember?
Patriots and great patrons of America.
There's a bunch of people on X there saying that they want Joe out, and this is a hit job. They purposely did this to make him look weak.
He says he wants to commute their sentences and say that no. He went to every single court in the nation. I don't know how many cases, scores of cases, including the Supreme Court, and they said no.
Joe Biden needs to be playing chess, bro. He needs to be in a retirement home.
Doing what was done. He did do a damn thing.
FT, I don't know if he can handle chess. He might need to go to checkers.
Should be the ones who are.
I mean, checkers. I don't even know if he could do that. You have to watch.
I was thinking Go Fish. Go Fish might be a good one.
Bloodbath.
I was thinking
maybe coloring books.
I think bingo is
What
made.
they've done to some people that are so innocent, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. What you have done, how you've destroyed the lives of so many people. When they ripped down Portland, when they ripped down,
I'm literally waiting for Biden to get mad. Go, listen here, Jack.
You go to Minnesota, Minneapolis.
Come on, man.
What they've done there with the fires all
Trump's
over the
so
city. If I didn't bring in the
underrated. It's
National
gonna be funny
Guard,
what
that
they
city
do
would have
next.
been destroyed.
No, he's sticking
When
to
you look
topic,
at all of the,
which is really
they
good.
took over big
He's-
chunks of
he's-
Seattle. I
he's
was
being
all set to
coherent.
bring in the National
I've
Guard.
noticed that
They heard
Trump's not very
they saw
orange
them
tonight
coming,
either.
and they left immediately.
Yeah, you're right.
What he said about this whole subject is so off. Peacefully patriotic. One other thing, the Unselect Committee, which is basically two horrible Republicans that are all gone now out of office, and Democrats, all Democrats, they destroyed and deleted all of the information they found. Because they found out we were right. We were right. And they deleted and destroyed all of the information. They should go to jail for that.
Gotcha.
If a Republican did that, they go to jail.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, I want to give you a minute.
The only person on this stage is a convicted felon is the man I'm looking at right now.
There we
The fact
go.
of the matter is,
Got him.
he isn't. What he's telling you is simply not true. The fact is that
That
there
just
was
completely
no
changed my
effort on
mind.
his
I'm
part
voting for the other
to
guy
stop
now.
what was going on
Yeah.
up in Capitol Hill, and all those people, every one of those who were convicted, deserves to be convicted. The idea
The grandma
that
with
they didn't
cancer
kill
that's like
somebody,
83.
just went in and broke down doors, broke the windows, occupied offices, turned over desks, turned them over statues. The idea that those people are patriots, come on. When I asked him those first two debates we had, first time around, I said, will you denounce the Proud Boys? He said, no, I'll tell them to stand by. The idea he's refusing,
What?
will you denounce these guys? Will you denounce the people we're talking about now? Will you denounce the people who attacked that Capitol? What are you
Yeah,
gonna
it
do?
sounded good when he was practicing this shit.
I'm going to give you a
You're like, you're
minute,
killing it, Joe.
President Trump, for a follow-up question I have. After a jury convicted you of 34 felonies last month, you said if reelected, you would, quote, have every right to go after, unquote, your political opponents. You just talked about members of the Select Committee on January 6th going to jail. Your main political opponent is standing on stage with you tonight. Can you clarify exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go after your political opponents?
Well, I said my retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again, because right now it's a failing nation. My retribution is going to be success. But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon at a very high level. His son is convicted, going to be convicted probably numerous other times.
Damn.
Should have been convicted
Trump
before,
is
but his
killing it.
Justice Department let the statute of limitations lapse on the most important things. But he could be a convicted felon as soon as he gets out of office. Joe could be a convicted felon with all of the things that he's done. He's done horrible things. All of the
10%
death
for the big
caused at
guy.
the border, telling the Ukrainian people that we're going to want $1 billion or you change the process.
Yeah, I think I got bingo.
Otherwise, you're not getting $1 billion. If I ever said that,
I'm waiting for the
That's
shitting
quid pro
of the
quo.
pants.
that we're not going to do anything.
Oh, is that what you
We're
have
not gonna
left
give
for
you $1
the?
billion unless you
That's it.
change
Now I'm
the
yelling
prosecutor
bingo.
having to do with his son.
They have already done
This
that.
man is a criminal. This man, you're lucky. You're lucky. I did nothing wrong. We'd have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, I'm coming right to you,
That was
sir.
a long minute.
You want to respond? Go ahead. I'll give you a minute to respond.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, breaking the
idea
rule.
That I did anything wrong relative to what you're talking about is outrageous. It's simply a lie, number one.
Here he goes. He's
Number
getting
two,
angry. Listen
the
here,
idea
Jack.
that you have a right to seek retribution
We'll
against
go behind the
anyone
My
barn.
son is
just
not a
because you're
loser.
is wrong.
He died
Simply
of cancer.
wrong. No
Wrong
president
son,
ever
Mr.
spoke
President.
like
I
that
know.
before.
Yeah.
No president in our history.
He was a crackhead. I mean,
Number three,
what?
the crimes that you are still charged
Get
with.
right,
Think of
bud.
all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe?
There we go. We got
Civil penalties?
1,400 people watching. Let's go.
Molesting a woman in public, for doing a whole range of things.
Oh my,
Having
the lies
sex
are
with a
popping.
porn star on the
You know what I like to say?
while your
Don't forget
wife
to
was
like,
pregnant.
share,
I mean,
leave a comment.
what are you talking about? You have the morals
Joe
of an
just-
alley cat.
going to cheap shots.
Take a minute, sir.
I didn't have sex with a porn star, number one. Number two, that was a case that was started and moved. They moved a high-ranking official, a DOJ, into the Manhattan DA's office to start that case. That case is going to be appealed and won. We had a very terrible judge, a horrible judge, Democrat. The prosecutor were all high-ranking Democrats, appointed people, and both the civil and the criminal. He basically went after his political opponent because he thought it was going to damage me. But when the public found out about these cases, because they understand it better than he does, he has no idea what these cases are. But when they found out about these cases, you know what they did? My poll numbers went up, way up. You know that because you're reporting it.
I think Biden just
and
took a little
we took in
poo-poo.
more money in the last 2 weeks than we've ever taken in the history of any campaign. I don't think any campaign has ever taken. Hundreds of millions of dollars came pouring in because the public knows it's a scam and it's a guy that's after his political opponent because he can't win fair and square.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, quote, Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans are determined to destroy American democracy. Do you believe that the tens of millions of Americans who are likely to vote for President Trump will be voting against American democracy?
73 million.
The more they know about what he's done, yes. The more they know about what he's done. And there's a lot more coming. He's got a lot of cases down the road coming around.
Oh, my.
He's got a whole range of issues he has to face. I don't know what the juries will do, but I do know he has a real problem. And so the fact that
they're going to lock Trump up.
I think you heard any president say that I'm going to seek retribution. Do you ever hear any president say that I thought Hitler had some good ideas? What got me involved to run in the first place after my son.
Here we go with Hitler again.
In Iraq, because of Iraq. I said I wasn't going to run again until I saw what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia. People
this was a lie. This already got debunked.
Swastikas on torches, and singing the same anti-Semitic bile they sang when back in Germany. And the young woman got killed. I spoke to the mother, and they asked him. They said,
"Look at this
what do you think of those people?
motherfucker."
The people the ones who got killed, the one who tried to stop it, and the ones he said, I think they're fine people on both sides. What American president would ever say Nazis coming out of fields carrying torches, singing the same anti-Semitic bile?
Can't believe it's trying to get debunked.
Fine people. This is the guy who says Hitler's done some.
I'm surprised the broadcasters haven't said it's been debunked. If Trump would have said it, it would be.
This guy has no sense of American democracy.
Like, Joe, that was a lie.
Jake, both of you know that story has been totally wiped out because when you see the sentence, it says
Look at Biden.
100% exoneration on that. So he just keeps it going. He says he ran because of Charlottesville. He didn't run because of Charlottesville.
Resetting in
because
progress.
it was his last chance.
Oh my Lord.
He's not equipped to be president. You know it, and I know it. It's ridiculous. We have a debate. We're trying to justify his presidency. His presidency, he's without question the worst president, the worst presidency in the history of our country. We shouldn't be having a debate about it. There's nothing to debate. He made up the Charlottesville story, and you'll see it's debunked all over the place.
Oh my God.
Every anchor every reasonable anchor has debunked it. And just the other day, it came out where it was fully
He's got this face of he's not supposed to say that. Why is he saying that?
He knows that.
Turn his microphone off.
He used that as an excuse to run.
President Biden?
And debunked. It happened. All you have to do is listen.
He's
to
like
what was
looking
said
away
at the
from
time.
Trump.
And the idea that somehow that's
Trump's
the only reason I
on the
ran.
other direction.
I
Look,
ran because I
He's not
worried
even at
about
the right
this
camera.
guy
He's so
being
trashed.
If he thought they were good people coming out of that forest, carrying those.
Randy Quaid starting to
carrying
post
those
some crazy
torches,
stuff.
And he didn't deserve to be president. Didn't deserve
I
to be
love
president
Randy
at all.
Quaid.
And the idea that he's talking about all this.
You
being
could never put a
fabricated.
different person
We
in
saw it
Christmas
all online.
Vacation.
We saw what happened on January 6th.
That
We
or
saw
when
the
he
people
shoved it up the
breaking
aliens'
through.
asses at the
We
end
saw
of
people
Independence Day.
occupying his own
I'm
vice
back.
president. Look, there's a reason why 40 of his 34 top cabinet officers refused to endorse him this time. His vice president hasn't endorsed him this time. So why? Why?
Yeah.
Do you know him well?
1,300 people watching your station, Joe. Awesome job, buddy.
Thank you, President Biden. We're going to be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate.
Oh my! What do y'all think about that?
Wow, this is getting good.
Trump's doing better than I thought he
How
would.
much time we got left?
He's sticking. You know, John. He's sticking to the guns. He's not over talking. He's not trying to be that bull in the china shop, and I really think that's helping him right now.
I do. Too.
I think people are getting to see a different side of Trump, and this is really going to help him with the election.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, Trump doesn't really have to do anything. Just let Biden self-implode. It's like kind of sad, very sad.
if he would have done this on the last two debates that he did with President Biden when he was going for re-election, I think they would have turned out a lot different. I think this is the Trump that should have been in those last two debates, and it would have turned out a lot different.
Same Trump, different story. They stole 2020. Everybody knows that. But let's put a grade on it right now. If we could put a grade on it, Biden, I'm giving him what, maybe a D? And then I'm giving Trump a strong B+. What's everybody else think?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Yeah.
I'd give Biden an F. It's like very embarrassing.
He's totally done. Like they're going to replace him.
Bro,
I'll tell you one
they have
comment
to at this point.
Yeah, one comment I would give when he was, then when he finally finished, Trump said, "I don't even know what he said." And I don't even think he knows what the hell he just said.
There's going to be great memes coming from this. There's going to be 100% great memes.
We've got,
I called it meme gold mine.
Yeah,
I got a couple of comments from the chat right now where Kat says they're going to drug Biden back up in the commercial break, and I have to agree with him on that.
Yeah, no, they're
And
just
then,
adjusting the meds and a quick diaper change.
Definitely. And then Fidji's saying that some of the rooms are concerned that Trump is just patting himself on the back. I kind of see what she's saying with that. He's definitely outlining his achievements as what he did when he was president. I don't know if I take that as a pat on the back, but that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I think Trump's approach is brilliant right here. You know what I'm saying? He's just keeping it cool and collective, and he's just laying out facts, and he's putting all that fake news on blast when Joe's out there lying about the tiki torches and sleeping with porn stars and all that. I mean, Trump's just countering. I mean, it's like it's not even really a fight no more. You know what I'm saying? I feel like Joe Biden got knocked out 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, I think the whole Nazis and tiki torches and the Ku Klux Klan is coming out of the woods, and you're thinking this is going to get the black vote. I think, you're really insulting people. I mean, there is a lot of educated, black people that are looking at this going, you think this appeals to me with you saying this? We are middle class and upper class, and we care about these issues, and it doesn't seem like you care about anything except for around election season.
What about Joe's faces, though? What about the faces he's making? I mean, he's like cooked, right?
He's only making one face.
That face is so memeable. Oh yeah, it'll be all over X tomorrow.
Oh yeah,
but he's I expected Biden to lie. I'm surprised that he's coming out with 3-year-old debunked lies. I thought they'd have something fresh.
No fact checking either. The moderators haven't jumped in to fact check anything.
I'll tell you what, Rock. It may just be the bourbon talking, but I'm really surprised at the way that CNN is handling this. I'm right there with you. They haven't jumped in. They haven't interrupted. They've only had one mic cut. They're not trying to debunk or fact check anything on the fly. I'm going to have to agree with some of the comments that we've seen pop up in the chat while we're watching this. I think they're really trying to make Biden look like he really is, and they're not protecting him. And and to go back what you were talking about there, Kingdom.
CNN presidential debate live from Georgia. Let's talk about persistent challenges.
Right. Are they going to debunk it now?
Terms, and you certainly face again in a second term. President Biden, while black unemployment dropped to a record low under your presidency, black families still earn far less than white families.
Yeah, these are the real issues. All the migrants are taking everyone's job.
Likely to die from pregnancy-related causes.
Not migrants.
And black Americans are imprisoned at 5 times the rate of white Americans. What do you say to black voters who are disappointed that you haven't made more progress?
They acknowledge we made a lot of progress, number one. The fact of the matter is there's more small black businesses that have been started than any time in history.
He's got no voice.
The wages of black unemployment is the lowest level it's been in a long, long time.
1,700 people watching. Let's go.
Providing housing for black Americans.
1,400
alone. Share, comment, subscribe.
That exists among these corporations that collude to keep people out of their houses. And in addition to that, we find that the impact on the choice that black families have to make relative to childcare is incredibly difficult. When we did the first major piece of legislation in the past,
is he pandering?
Reduce black childcare costs.
Oh, he's pandering.
In half. We got to make
Kingdom,
sure
check your DMs.
For childcare costs. We got to make sure, because when you provide those childcare protections, you increase economic growth because more people can be in the job market. So there's more to be done, considerably more to be done. but we've done a great deal so far, and I'm not letting up, and they know it.
You have 49 seconds left. What do you say to Black voters who are disappointed with the progress so far?
I love the
I
blacks.
say I don't blame them for being disappointed. Inflation is still hurting them badly. For example, I provided for the idea that any Black family first-time home buyer should get a $10,000 tax credit to be
They
able
should
to
get a
buy
tax
their first
break
home,
and
so they can get started. We make
reparation.
sure that we're in a situation where all those Black families and those Black individuals who provided
Sounds a little like racism.
that were ballooning. That if they were
Good thing he has a microphone. How could you hear what the hell he's saying?
I want to do the 3 strikes and you're out rule again that I
They
did.
paid their bills for
Hey,
10
FT,
years.
check the night crew chat.
Their student debt, all the rest is forgiven after 10 years. Millions have benefited from that. And we're going to do a whole lot more for Black families.
Thank you, President Trump.
And he caused the inflation. He's blaming inflation, and he's right. It's been very bad. He caused the inflation, and it's killing Black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody. It's killing people. They can't buy groceries anymore. They can't. You look at the cost of food where it's doubled and tripled and quadrupled.
Yep.
They can't live. They're not living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave him a country with essentially no inflation. It was perfect. It was so good. All he had to do is leave it alone. He destroyed it with his Green New scam and all this money that's being thrown out the window. He caused inflation. As sure as you're sitting there, the fact is that his big kill
President
on the Black
Biden is
people
just getting
is the
pummeled on
millions of
social
people
media
that
right
he's
now. It's
allowed to come in
crazy.
through the border. They're
I
taking
saw Twitter lighting them up.
and
Yeah,
it
the
could
fact
be
check
18,
coming in
it
live,
could
it's
be
good.
19, even 20 million people. They're taking Black jobs and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet. But
Oh,
you're
he
going to see
just said it.
something that's going to be the worst.
Probably the first time
Thank you,
millions of
President
people have
Biden.
seen Biden live.
There was no inflation when I became president. You know why?
Jesus.
The economy was flat on its back, 15% unemployment.
With the virus
decimated
you
the
released?
economy, absolutely decimated the economy. That's why there was no inflation at the time. There were no jobs.
There's no inflation for the
Thousands
4
of
years.
millions
There
of
was no jobs,
jobs for
none,
individuals who are in
zero,
rural communities,
none.
including minority communities. We made sure that they have health insurance.
He's a
We have
racist.
covered. If the ACA has increased, I made sure that
I could argue they're both racist.
$8,000 per person in the family to get written
Two
off
two
of
white guys
healthcare.
calling each other
This guy
racist.
wants to eliminate that. They tried 50 times. He wants to get rid of
I
the
never
ACA
sang a
again.
Snoop Dogg
And they're
song.
going to try again
That's
if they win. We find ourselves in a position where the idea that we're not doing any, we put more police on the street than any administration has. He wants to cut the cops. We're providing for
Oh, that's not a good thing, bro.
equity and making sure people have a shot.
Trump
He,
wants to
he wants to
There's a
yeah
lot going
defund the
on.
police, dog. You didn't know? That's
He
a
caused
Republican
it by
thing.
his
ACAB, baby.
Wait, Trump wants to defund the police? Bro,
No.
he's got my
What he's
vote.
saying.
Thank you. Another persistent challenge is the climate crisis. 2023
Climate?
was the
What?
hottest year in recorded history, and communities across the country are confronting the devastating effects of extreme heat,
Give us some money. We can
intensifying
control the
wildfires,
weather.
stronger hurricanes, and rising sea levels. Former President Trump, you've vowed to end your opponent's
Coley and
climate
Noir
initiative.
just posted that
Will you
they're
take any action
Coley and
as
Noir just
president to
posted that
slow the climate
they're
crisis?
using this
Let me
debate to
just go
justify
back to
running
what I
Gavin
said
Newsom.
about the police.
True.
How close the police are to him. Almost every police group in the nation from every state is supporting Donald J. Trump.
Hell yeah, they
Almost
are.
every police
Yep.
group. And what he's
They
done
want
to
to
the
stay
Black
alive. They don't want to die.
population is horrible, including the fact that for 10 years he
They don't
called
wanna go
them
to jail
super
for doing the
predators.
job.
In the 1990s. We can't forget that.
Or
Super
locking them up or
predators was
try to
his name.
secure
And
George
he called
Floyd.
it
Crime
that,
bill.
and they've taken great offense at it. And now they see it happening. But when they see what I did for criminal justice reform and for the historically Black colleges and universities, where I funded them and got them all funded, and the opportunity zones with Tim, as you know, Tim Scott was incredible. He did a great job, great senator from South Carolina. He came to me with the idea, and it was a great idea. It's one of the most successful economic development acts ever in the country, opportunity zones. And the biggest beneficiary are Blacks. And that's why we have the best numbers with them in maybe ever. They're saying ever. I read this morning where ever.
Let's
the
go.
best numbers.
1900. Come on. 2000. Where we at?
Much of the Black
What
population.
exactly are
share.
Black and
Because he's
Hispanic
done a
jobs? That's what I
horrible
want
job
to know.
for Black people. He's also done a horrible job for Hispanics. But wait till you see these millions of people pouring into our country, and they're going to take the jobs, and it's already started, and you haven't seen anything yet. It's a disaster.
You've 38 seconds left. President Trump, will you take any action as president to slow the climate
Border
crisis?
Patrol Union just made a
I
post
want
saying, let us be clear,
absolutely
we have
immaculate
never
clean
endorsed
water, and I want
President Biden.
absolutely clean air, and we had it.
Oh, they're gonna.
We had
He's a lying
H2O.
piece of shit.
We
They're
had
gonna
the
have a
best
whole week
numbers
worth of this
ever,
shit. Talk about
and
all
we
these
did-
lies.
We were using all forms of energy, all forms, everything. And yet, during my 4 years, I had the best environmental numbers ever. And my top environmental people gave me that statistic just before I walked on the stage, actually.
The problem is, I don't think Biden even realizes he's lying. I don't even think he knows that he's lying.
Anything he said is true. I've passed the most extensive.
He's just reading the teleprompter, bro. He's innocent. Grandpa at the nursing home.
In history, we find ourselves, and by the way, black colleges. I came up with $15 billion for HBCUs, historic black universities and colleges.
50 million.
Because they don't
Trump
have,
gave him like 750
kind of
million.
contributors that they have to build these laboratories and the like. Any black student is capable in college of doing any white student can do.
Didn't you
just
tell
have
me they
money
can't
not
get an
to be able to
ID?
Get those jobs in high tech. We're in a situation where the idea
They don't know how to use computers either.
Yeah, I heard about
have
that.
done something that had the cleanest water. Cleanest
Bro, that
water.
We got range-minded
Well, damn
podcasts
thing,
here.
man.
What's up, Steve?
He pulled out of the Paris Peace Accord, Climate Accord. I immediately joined it. because
FT,
if
you're
we
pretty good at
reach
using computers, aren't you?
1.5 degrees Celsius.
I would
then
hope
one
so.
point-
It's my
there's
whole
no way
damn
back.
major.
The only
Oh, there you go.
existential
See,
threat to
debunked,
humanity
Biden.
is
Debunked.
climate change. And he didn't know
I'm about to get
anything
a
about it.
master's in
He wants to
computer
undo all the
engineering. I would
lockdowns.
hope so.
I'm sure you've probably
Paris
forgotten
Accord
more
was
about
gonna
computers
cost
than I've
us
ever
$1 trillion,
known.
and China nothing, and Russia nothing, and India nothing. It
What's
was a
Biden's
ripoff
mouth
of the
doing
United
wide open like
States.
that? He's cooked.
And I ended it because I didn't want
Bro,
to
it was
waste
like he's
that money
resetting.
because they treat us
That's
horribly. We were the
cotton
only
mouth
ones
from
who was
the
costing
drugs.
us money.
He's
Nobody
looking
else
at
was
the
paying
time.
for it.
Yeah.
And it was
I
a
want to
looking
know
at
how his
Shannon
eyes aren't
Sharp.
drying out with him
everything
not
that he said
blinking.
just now. I'll give you an example. I heard him say before
Oh,
insulin.
here we go.
I'm
He
the
got
one
some
that got
shit
the
from,
insulin down
Hunter.
for the seniors. I took
That's
care
right.
of the seniors. What he's doing is destroying all of our medical programs because the migrants coming in, they want everybody. And look, I have the biggest heart on the stage. I guarantee you
There's
that. And I
there's a
want to take
post
care
from
of
Tim
people.
Pulse
But we're
that
destroying our
reposted from
country.
Kelly
They're
O'Donnell
taking
that
over
says
our
there's two
schools, our
sources familiar with the
hospitals, and they're going to
situation.
be taking over
Says that
Social
President
Security.
Biden has a
He
cold.
is destroying Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
It's Biden's flu game.
The idea is that we, in fact, we were the only ones of consequence who were not members of the Paris Accord. How can we do anything? The United States can't get us under control. One of the largest polluters in the world, number one.
Oh my
We're
God,
making
Fitchy, I love your
significant
post.
progress. By 2035, we will have cut pollution in half. We have made significant progress, and we're continuing to make progress. We set up a climate.
He might need
corps
another booster
where
shot.
Thousands of young people will learn how to.
Nah, they did this on
just like
purpose.
Peace Corps.
They're going to murder him
We're
on the
moving in
commentary in the
directions that are
mainstream
gonna
media.
significantly change the elements
Or
of
they're just going to
climate.
not replay this and they're going to copyright everybody.
Oh, they're going to
delete it. The biggest heart up here, and he's really
It's going to
concerned
be memory hold.
about pollution and about climate.
Old
I've
Kamala's
seen
trying to
indication
defend
of that.
Biden on
And
X
by the
right
way,
now.
with regard to
well,
prescription drugs, one company.
she ain't but a blink of the eye away from being the president of the United States. Of course she is.
One voluntarily. I made sure every company in the world, every pharmaceutical company, cannot have to pay.
Thank you.
And by the way,
Your
So
mic's been
every
cut
day,
off. Yeah.
millions of Americans struggle
Did
just
they
to
actually
make
cut his
ends
mic?
meet. For many
Yeah.
older Americans, Social Security
I'm telling you,
provides a critical
CNN's
lifeline.
surprising me on
President
this.
Biden, if nothing
Weren't we
is
supposed
done
to drink
Social
every
Security,
time he
seniors
talked
will
into
see
him?
their benefits
I
cut
mean, he got
in
cut
just over
Elliott
10
in the
years.
closing argument.
Will you name tonight
I mean,
one
I'm already 5
specific
into it, so
step
I don't know
you're
what you
willing
want me to
take
do.
to keep Social Security solvent?
I just keep
yes,
drinking
make
solid while
begin to
Biden's
pay their
talking.
fair share.
Figure I'm hitting them.
Right now,
I
everybody
mean, I
making
completely
over
took a break from my OSHA training
$170,000
for this.
6% of their income. Of their
Well,
paycheck
thanks for
every
making that
single time
sacrifice
that
for us,
I'm
Ron.
the first one
You
to
have
get
no idea how
an
sick
18
I am
years
of that.
old. The
I'm
idea
literally
that
cleaning my
I'm
firearms.
I'm proposing that everybody they pay the millionaires pay 1%, 1%. So no one after
The top 1%
raise
pay
the cost of
50%
Social
of all
Security for
taxes.
anybody under $400,000. After
All right,
that,
2,000 people. Let's go.
begin to pay their fair share by increasing from 1% beyond to be able to guarantee the program for life.
Yeah, let's talk about the almost
So you
30%
still have
I've got to
2
pay.
seconds left. Are there any other measures that you think that would be able to help keep Social Security solvent, or is that one enough?
Well, no, that one enough will keep it solvent, but
No.
the biggest thing will be
There's nothing that
Such an idiot.
because he wants to get rid of Social Security. He thinks there's
They know
plenty
it's
to cut
over.
Social Security.
I think I can.
He's going to cut Social Security.
Yeah,
and
Robert
Medicare
F. Kennedy,
both times.
you might be able to
And
jump up there. I don't
Look
know.
at the program put
But they're going to try to
forward
put Gavin
by the House
Newsom in there.
Republican caucus that I believe supports is in fact want to cut it as well. The idea that we don't need to protect our seniors is ridiculous. And by the
Nancy's
way,
secret bit.
American public has greater health care coverage today than ever before.
You tell him, Roger.
And on the ACA, as I said, you're in a circumstance where 400,000 people,
We hit 2K yet, Kingdom?
40 million people would not have
We're 10
insurance
away.
because they have a pre-existing condition. Only thing that allows them to have that insurance is the fact that they, in fact, are part of the ACA.
I'm trying to
And
mimic
by the
his
way, the
face.
other thing is we're in a situation where we talk about education for Black communities. I've raised the amount of money for Pell Grants, another $8,000. So anybody making under $70,000 a year is going to be able to get $15,000 toward their tuition. He just doesn't know what he's talking about.
Thank you, President Biden.
Yeah, he don't know what he's talking
So
about.
I've
Good
dealt with
point.
politicians all my life. I've been on this side of the equation for the last 8 years. I've never seen anybody lie like this guy. He lies. I've never seen it. He can look you in the face. So many other things too. And we mentioned the laptop. We mentioned Russia, Ukraine. Everything he does is a lie. It's misinformation and disinformation. The losers and suckers story that he made up is a total lie on the military. It's a disgrace. But Social Security, he's destroying it because millions of people are pouring into our country. And they're putting them onto Social Security. They're putting them onto Medicare, Medicaid. They're putting them in our hospitals. They're taking the place of our citizens. What they're doing to the VA, to our veterans is unbelievable. Our veterans are living in the street.
Big Mike, yeah.
And these
Everybody
people
likes
are
Mike.
living in luxury hotels. He doesn't know what
Mike
he's
with
doing.
the
Big
it's
Mike,
really coming
Moose
back.
Knuckle.
I've never seen such anger in our country before.
The only one that can change a tire.
The
in the White
idea
House.
that veterans were not being taken care of, I told you before. And by the way, when I said suckers and losers, he acknowledged after that he fired that general. That general
He was a
got
piece of
fired
shit, probably.
because he's the one that acknowledged that that's what he said. He was the one standing with Trump when he said it. Number one. Number two, the idea that we're going to be in a situation where
He already number two.
all these millions.
Hang on to your pronouns. Here we go.
Illegal aliens are coming into the country and taking away our jobs. There's a reason why
Biden's going to close the border tomorrow.
In the world. The reason why we have the most successful economy in the world.
You gotta lock it
We're
down.
doing better than any other nation in the world. And by the way, those 15 Nobel laureates he talked about being phony, those 15 Nobel laureates, economists, they all said that if Trump is reelected, we're likely to have a recession.
Hey, anybody can say anything if you pay him well
Inflation's going
enough.
to increasingly go up. And by the way, worst
You got a point there, Joe. You got a 100% big point there.
Yeah.
voted
Joe
him the worst president in the history
And
of the United
Biden
States.
sounds worse.
President Biden, thank you so much. Let's turn to the cost of
Trump
child
was the
care,
worst.
which many American families struggle to
Oh,
afford.
you were? No,
President
you
Trump,
were.
Both you and President Biden have tried to address this issue, but the
It's like
average
the two
cost of
Muppets
child care
from
in
the
this
Muppet
country
Show
has
that
risen
stand
to
up
more
there
than
and sit up
$11,000 a year per
Let me
child.
tell you
For
what's
many
crazy is his
families,
account,
the
Biden's
cost of
account's
child
getting
care
tore up
for
right
two
now on X
children
because
is
somebody's
more than
continuously
their
tweeting
rent.
on it.
In
And
your
everybody's like,
second term,
if you're
what
on
would
stage,
you
who's
do to
tweeting?
make child care more affordable?
Just to go back, the general got fired because he was no good. And if he said that, that's why he made it up. But we have 19 people that said I didn't say it, and they're very highly respected, much more so than him. The other thing is,
blank stare.
he doesn't fire people. He never fired
I can't
people.
believe
He's like,
Never said
oh,
he fired
shit.
anybody. I did fire a lot. I fired Comey because he was no good. I fired a lot of the
fix
top
my
people
earpiece.
at the FBI, drained the swamp. They were no good. Not
What do
easy
you
to
mean?
fire people. You'd pay a
Where's my
price for it,
pudding?
but they were no good. I inherited these people. I didn't put them there. I didn't put Comey there. He was no good. I fired him. This guy hasn't fired anybody. He never fires. He should have fired every military man that was involved with that Afghanistan
Hell yeah.
horror show. The most embarrassing
Yeah, I
moment in the
100%
history
agree
of the
with that.
country. He didn't fire. Did you fire anybody? Did you fire anybody that's on the border that's allowed us to have the worst border in the history of the world? Did anybody get fired for allowing?
Who's gonna do? Who's gonna
going to jail like a mother?
Who's gonna clean the toilets and mow the lawn?
Mental institutions.
Close the
Did you
border.
fire anybody?
He
that
looks like a
allowed our
scolded
country to
boy
be
right now.
destroyed?
Yeah.
Joe, our country is being destroyed as you and I sit up here and waste a lot of time on this debate. This shouldn't be a debate.
Yeah.
He's the worst president. He just said about me because I said it. But But look, he's the worst president in the history of our country. He's destroyed our country. Now all of a sudden he's trying
Joe
to get
is
a little
cooked.
border. He came out with a nothing deal, and it reduced it a little bit.
Isn't Trump older than
It's
Biden
not-
too?
it's
No.
insignificant. He wants
He's like a
open
year
borders.
younger.
He wants our country
He's
to
like 2
either be
years younger, I
destroyed,
think,
or he
but
wants to pick
very
up
close.
those people as
But
voters.
you can't tell by looking at him.
But he's
I don't think
sentient, so,
we just
I mean,
can't let it happen.
No, Trump
If
looks like
he
he's 50
wins
compared
this
to Biden.
election,
Oh, yeah.
our country doesn't have a chance, not even a chance, of coming out of this
I think
rut.
Biden is
He has a
$88
billion
We won't have a
doctors.
country left anymore.
Yeah,
That's how
Uncle
bad
Buck,
it
there
is.
won't be
He's
another
the
debate,
worst
dude. I
in
guarantee
history by
that.
far.
Well, he's listening to
Thank you,
his
President
earpiece,
Trump.
getting
President
ready for
Biden?
the next
We're the most
discussion.
admired country in the world. We're the United States of America.
Oh
There's
my!
nothing beyond our
Everyone's
capacity.
welcome.
We're
Come
the
on
finest
across.
military in the history of the world. The finest in the history of the world. No one.
That's why we
thinks
gave
we're
all
good.
of our stuff away, because we're the
wants to
best.
screw around.
Yeah,
with us.
exactly.
Nobody. Number one.
Yeah, can I get my
Number
tax
two,
money back
the
for all that
idea
shit?
that we're
I just want
talking
my
about worst
Apache. That's all I
presidents.
want.
I wasn't joking.
I'll
Look it
take
up.
one of
Go
those.
online. 159 or 58, don't hold me the exact number, presidential historians, they've had meetings and they voted who's the worst.
You know, Uncle Buck,
president
there's
in
been some
American
stuff
history.
posted on
One
X
for
that they're
best
letting
worst.
this happen
They said he was
purposely
the worst in
to
all
give them a
of
reason to put
American
somebody
history.
else in
That's a
place of
fact.
Biden.
That's
To do the
not- that's not
25th Amendment
conjecture.
on old Biden.
He can argue they're wrong, but that's what they
Oh,
voted.
there's
The
some
idea
stuff
that
on
he
X
is
that's an
knowing
understatement.
doing anything to deal with child
Look, I was
care.
trying to be nice.
He
There's a
very publicly
plethora.
not to do
Yeah.
child care.
Do you know what a plethora is?
It's a sweater.
You should significantly increase the availability of women and men or single parents to be able to go
Just
back to
remember,
work.
188
We
years
should
ago,
encourage
3 men
businesses to
saved
hold-
Acapulco
to
from
Thank
El
you, President
Guapo.
Biden. President Trump, the question was about what would you do to make childcare more affordable?
Those
You wanna
daring
comment on
3
that?
men.
Just so you understand, we have Poland,
El
we have other
Guapo.
things
It's one of my
that
favorite
degrade
movies.
him the worst because what he's done is so bad.
Yeah, right
And
now
they
Joe
rate
wishes
me.
he was
I'll
the
show you.
invisible
I will show you.
swordsman.
And they rate me one of the best. Okay. And if I'm given another 4 years, I will be the best. I think I'll be the best. Nobody's ever created an economy like us. Nobody ever cut taxes like us. He's the only one I know. He wants to raise your taxes by 4 times. He wants to raise everybody's taxes by 4 times. He wants the Trump tax cuts to expire. So everybody, including the two of you, are going to pay 4 to 5 times. Nobody ever heard of this before. All my life, I'd grow up and I'd see politicians talking about cutting taxes. When we cut taxes, as I said, we did more business. Apple and all these companies, they were
Trump's hair
bringing
is looking a little
money
flat
back
tonight.
into our country. The worst president in history by far, and everybody knows it.
President Biden?
Look, fact of the matter is that he's dead wrong about, he's increased the tariff, he will increase the taxes on middle-class people. I said I'd never raise the
Which
tax
one
on
was it?
anybody
He
who
will,
makes
he
less than
would, he did, he
$25,000.
will,
I
might
didn't.
want to one
His
day.
tariff is 10% tariffs. Everything coming in the country, you know what the economists say?
Pick and
That's
choose your
gonna
own
cost the
adventure.
average American
Yeah.
$2,500 a year more because they're going to have to pay the difference in food and all the things that are very important. Number two, he's in a situation where he talks about how he is.
Somebody made a comment that they're impressed with the moderators not interrupting too much, and Carrie Salone made a comment that they're giving hand signals to Biden. They're not cutting his mic.
10 years, which
What
is
do you guys think?
fundamentally bankrupt the country.
I haven't really heard him overspeak though.
Yeah, this extra advantage when he said his perfect case scenario is like this, he's still getting his ass whipped when he made up all the rules.
Progress with China.
Yeah, and he was
We
in
had a
Camp
lowest
David for
trade
10
deficit with
days.
China since 2010.
Trump just murdered.
Thank you, President Biden. Thank you, President Biden. Let's discuss an
Hey,
epidemic
Kingdom Radio,
impacting millions
check
of
your DMs
Americans that
real
both
quick,
of you have made a top priority in your first term, the opioid crisis. And for both of you, the number of overdose deaths in this country has gone up.
Purdue
Under
Pharma
your
just
term,
got
it
found
went up.
guilty, and they
Under
got to
your
pay like
term, it has
$70
gone up.
billion.
Former President Trump, despite the efforts that both of you have made, more than 100,000 Americans are dying from overdoses every year, primarily from fentanyl and other opioids. What will you do to help Americans right
Make
now in
cocaine
the
safe
throes
again.
of addiction who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
To finish up, we now have the largest deficit in the history of our country under this guy. We have the largest deficit with China.
Look at his face.
He's punishing
the
them.
Manchurian candidate. He gets money.
John
from
Rich
China.
from Big and
Yeah,
Rich,
I think he's afraid
country
to deal
western
with him,
singer,
something.
says they're going to
But you
replace
notice he
Joe
never
at the
took out my
DNC.
tariffs
This is
because we
beyond
bring in
pathetic.
so much money with the tariffs that I imposed on
Yeah, he
China.
got ate up.
He never took them away. He can't because it's too
Nobody's
much
going to
money.
vote for him.
It's tremendous. And we saved our steel
Facial
industry.
expressions,
But he hasn't done
his
that.
lies.
He hasn't cut the tariffs because he can't, because it's too much money. But he's got the largest deficit in the history of our country, and he's got the
Uncle
worst.
Buck, I'm not sure who they're going to run. There's been talks of Gavin Newsom. They might pull old Buttigieg out. You never know, but
what they're doing to
I
us
think
as a
they're
country.
gonna have to
They
put
are
somebody in his
killing
place.
us as a country, Joe.
Got to be
and you
Kamala.
can't
She's
let that
vice
happen.
president,
You're
right?
destroying our country.
It'll be
President
Big Mike or Newsom. I don't think it'll be anybody
question
else.
was, what are you going to do to help Americans in the
I don't.
throes of addiction
I might
right now
actually
who are
agree with the
struggling
Big
to
Mike
get the
comment.
treatment they need?
You don't think
They
so?
might have a
We're
better
doing
chance
very
with
well
Howard
at
Stern.
addiction until
No, I
the
said I
COVID
think I
came
agree
along.
with that.
We had the
I
2.5,
don't.
almost 3 years,
Although they
like
pushed
nobody's
Hillary
ever
the
had
other day.
before,
Did you
any
notice that?
country, in every way. And then we had to get
Did you
tough.
hear
No, I
And
missed
it was-
that.
The drugs pouring across the border were, it started to increase. We got great equipment. We bought the certain dog that's the most incredible thing that you've ever seen, the way they can spot it. We did a lot, and we were getting very low numbers, very, very low numbers. Then he came along. The numbers,
It's not like what Dr. Fauci did with the
it's not
beagle.
only the 18 million people that I believe is even low, because the
That makes me
gotaways,
so
they don't even
angry
talk
to this
about
day.
gotaways. But the numbers of the amount of drugs and human trafficking in women coming across our border, the worst thing I've ever seen, at numbers that nobody's ever seen under him, because the border's so bad. But the number
Just
of
waiting for Trump to
drugs
turn over and look at him and go, you know what, I'm going to beat
Trump
your
is
ass.
hammering the
largest we've
border
ever
and
had by
illegal
far.
immigration.
President
That's
Trump,
what
thank you,
everybody
President
wants to
Biden.
hear.
Fentanyl
And all that
and
news went
byproducts
away.
fentanyl went down for a while. And I wanted to make sure
Fentanyl,
we
Black
use
Lives
the
Matter.
machines
Listen
that
up,
can
everybody.
detect
He
fentanyl.
said for a
These big
while.
machines that roll over everything that comes across the border. And it costs a lot of money. That was part of this deal we put together, this bipartisan deal. More fentanyl machines, more
fentanyl machines.
drugs, more
That's a new
numbers
one.
of agents.
Is that a
more
vending
numbers
machine
of
now?
all the people.
I'd like to get 7 grams,
When we
please.
had the deal done, he called his.
Oh, you want to kill all of South Africa?
That's A3 is lethal
No,
dose.
he never argued it's not a good bill. It's a really good bill. We need those machines. We need those machines. And we're coming down very hard in every country in Asia in terms of precursors for fentanyl. And Mexico is working with us to make sure they don't have
Asia.
the
He didn't say
technology to
China.
put it
It's
together.
interesting.
That's what we have to do. We need those machines.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, and again, the question is about Americans in the throes of addiction right now, struggling to get the treatment they need.
Well, this does pertain to it. He ended Remain in Mexico. He ended catch and release. I made it catch and release in Mexico, not catch and release here. We had so many things that we had done, hard negotiations
Hammering the
with
border.
Mexico, and I got it all for nothing. It's just like when you have a hostage, we always pay $6 billion
Buy that coffee,
every
Joe
time we send a
Lnu.
hostage. Now we have a hostage, a Wall Street Journal reporter, I think a good guy, and he's over there because Putin is laughing at this guy, probably asking for billions of dollars for the reporter. I will have him out very quickly as soon as I take office. Before I
there
take
you go.
office, I said by literally as soon as I win the election, I will have that reporter out. He should have had him out a long time ago, but Putin's probably asking for billions and billions of dollars because this guy pays it every time. We had 2 cases where we paid $6 billion for 5 people. I got 58 people out, and I paid essentially nothing.
Thank you, President Trump. Dana?
Yeah.
Let's turn to concerns that
The news
voters
is like,
have
what?
about each of you. President Biden, you would be 86 at the end of your second term. How do you address
Why is this
concerns
a question?
about your
Wow.
capability to
Setup.
handle the toughest job in the world well into your 80s?
Well, first of all, I spent half my career being criticized being the youngest person in politics. I was the second youngest person ever elected to the United States
Well
Senate,
rehearsed.
and now I'm the oldest. This guy's
That
3
means
years
he's
younger.
been a career
All this
politician.
company.
Boot his
I think
ass.
just look at the record. Look
Yeah.
what I've done. Look how I've
In
turned
50
around
years,
the
what have you
horrible
done, bro?
situation he left me. As I said, 15
Dropped the
million
N-word a lot
jobs,
back in the day.
800,000 manufacturing
That's true.
jobs,
He
more
did that.
investment in America, over billions of dollars.
What were
of
his
private
words? I don't want our
investment
schools to be a racial jungle.
in enterprises. We are growing. By the way, we brought off a lot of people.
But he was raised
Well,
in a black church,
the
right?
whole idea.
Yeah. If
Computer
you, ain't,
chips. We used to have 40%.
if you don't vote for him, you ain't black.
We
Dude.
invented those chips.
That's true.
And we
He was
lost
at
it
Thelma.
because he was sending people to
Walking with
find the
Martin
cheapest
Luther
jobs
King.
overseas.
Yeah.
But I will say, if you're enjoying this, everybody, Joe Lnu puts a lot of work in there, and we all been trying to do what we can for Joe Lnu. Just had a major surgery, so you know, buy him a cup of coffee. You know, if you're in a Starbucks or something, like that. Talking about a cup of coffee. Buy Joe a cup of coffee. Great guy. Spends all his time to bring the buy me a coffee. Joe _Lnu. Buy this man a coffee. When you get in there, you think about how many coffees. It's 5 days this week. Buy him 5 coffees. Come on, guys.
President Biden, you have 40
Anybody's
seconds left.
earned it,
Would
Joe
you like to
has.
add anything?
Yeah, I would. The idea that somehow
I think we got 8 minutes left on the debate.
Country. Never heard a
It's going
president
to be the
talk like this
closer.
before.
Yeah, 2,200 people, man. Thank you so much for watching, and please like and share. Let's go.
Country president wouldn't trade places with the United States of America for all our problems and all our opportunities.
Hell yeah, we got
We're the most
plumbing.
progressive country in the world in getting things done. We're the strongest country in the world. We're a country in the world who keeps our word, and everybody trusts us. All of our allies.
You've been saying that all night, Uncle Buck.
And those who he coddles up to, from Kim Jong-un, he sends love letters to.
Kim Jong-un, love letter.
They don't want to screw around with us.
Thank you.
Kim Jong-un.
Former President Trump, to follow up, you would be 82 at the end
Coming
of
some
your
young guy.
second term.
You're buying love letters.
What do you say to voters who
Joe-
have concerns about your
Joe Biden likes his hair. That's why.
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests.
I'd like you to know that Andrew
Both of them,
Yang,
you know,
the Democrat
made it
rep,
public. He
has
took one. I'd like
posted
to see him take one. Just one.
DNC needs to
As long as
nominate somebody new
I
before
took
it's
the
too late.
first 5 questions he couldn't do.
Ooh.
But I took 2 cognitive tests.
I do
took
think that this
physical
debate is
exams every
turning
year. And you know,
throwing
Yeah,
him under the
Biden
bus.
needs some
we may have
Flowberry
more.
Riz.
that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite
Biden
smart.
shit himself.
You have to be able to hit the ball a long way.
It's night and
And I
day
do it.
between
He
Trump
doesn't
and
do it.
Biden.
He can't hit a
Night
ball
and day.
50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as
can't even
in
bait
good
a hook.
shape
Come
as
on,
I
girls.
was
He should have pulled out a
25,
golf
30
club.
years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter, but I'm in as good
I
a shape
understand
as
where
I
golf
was
was intended, man.
years ago.
Yeah,
I
and my
feel very
penis
good. I
is
feel the
way
same.
bigger than
But
his.
I was willing
Come on,
to take
girls.
a cognitive test. And you know what? If I didn't do well, I aced him. Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who's a great guy when he was White House doctor. And then I took another one, a similar one. And one of them said they've never seen anybody ace him.
Thank you. President Biden.
You can see he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds.
What the hell does that have to do?
What? He's razzing up
200.
Trump.
Well, anyway, that's it. Anyway, just take a look at what he
fuck was he
says. Take a look at
I
what
would
he
have
is.
kissed him if I
I'll be
wasn't
happy to have a
gay.
driving contest with him. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president.
He's
I was
handicapped,
6.
that's for sure.
And by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag.
Oh, he wants to say something so
I
bad.
want him to fight.
Oh, he's stewing.
He's a 6 handicap of all.
I was an 8 handicap.
8 handicap. My ass.
But I had, you know how many?
I've seen you
No, he
swing. I
had
know you
8
swing.
handicap
Okay,
black
let's
discs in
go
his
to
car.
President
Joe
Trump, we're
Biden's
going
not
to
shooting
Let's not act
64.
like children.
to
Let's
a
not act like
specific
Joe did.
concern that voters have about you. Will you pledge tonight that
Oh, my.
once all legal challenges have been exhausted, that you will accept the results of this election,
Hell
regardless
no.
of who wins?
What?
And you will say right now that political violence in any form is unacceptable.
Well, I shouldn't have to say that, but of course I believe that. It's totally unacceptable. And if
Your
you would see my
ex-husband was
statements
part of
that
the
I made on
51
Twitter at
people
the time,
that lied.
and also my statement
about
that I
the
made in the
Vlad
Rose Garden,
trial.
you would say it's one of the strongest statements you've ever seen. In addition to the speech I made in front of, I believe, the largest crowd I've ever spoken to. And I will tell you, nobody ever talks about that. They talk about a relatively small number of people that went to the Capitol and in many cases were ushered in by the police. And as Nancy Pelosi said, it was her responsibility,
Bam, back
not
on
mine. She
J6.
said that loud and clear.
Entrapment.
But the answer is, if the election is fair, free, and I want that more than anybody. And I'll tell you something. I wish he was a great president because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at one of
True
my
story.
many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under indictment because I wouldn't have been his political opponent because he indicted me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. But the only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make
Hell yeah,
America
hell
great
yeah.
again. We're a failing nation right
Someone
now.
gotta
We're
do
a
something
seriously
about it.
failing nation. And we're a failing nation because of him. His policies are so bad. His military policies are insane. They're insane. These are wars that will never end with him. He will drive us into World War III, and we're closer to World War III than anybody can imagine. We are very, very close to World War III, and he's driving us there. And Kim Jong-un and President Xi of China, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, All of these, Putin, they don't respect him. They don't fear him. They have nothing going with this gentleman, and he's going to drive us into World War III.
Hell yeah.
You want a World War III, let him follow and win, and let Putin say, do what you want, NATO. Just do what you want. There's a thing called Article 5.
He's 235, 6'5". Anyway.
Response. The idea, I can't think of a single major leader in the world who wouldn't trade places with the job I've done, what they've done. Because we are a powerful nation. We have wonderful people. It's because of the people, not me. It's because of the American people.
He needs a bullet Joe.
Anything.
Way to admit he's useless.
And right now, we're needed. We're needed to protect the world because
whoever prepared him for this debate should be fucking fired, dude.
Just let Putin.
No, he ain't fired nobody.
Make sure they move on. See what happens in Poland, Hungary, and other places along that
It's
border.
a DHI hire
Then you have
anyways.
a war.
President Trump, as I come back to you for a follow-up, the question was, will you accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
Just to finish what he said, if I might, Russia, they took a lot of land from Bush. They took a lot of land from Obama and Biden. They took no land, nothing from Trump, nothing. He knew not to do it. Not going to play games with me. He knew that. I got along with him very well, but he knew not to play games. He took nothing from me. But now he's going to take the whole thing from this man right here. That's a war that should have never started. It would have never started ever with me. And he's going to take Ukraine. And, you know, you asked me a question before, would you do this? He's got us in such a bad position right now with Ukraine and Russia, because Ukraine's not winning that war. He said, I will never settle until such time. They're running out of people. They're running out of soldiers. They've lost so many people. It's so sad.
Millions.
They've lost so many people, and they've lost those gorgeous
If you work for CNN, how do you patch this shit up this week, dude? It's terrible.
Because of him and stupid decisions.
They will definitely have
Russia
their
would have
hands
never
full.
attacked if I were
President Trump,
president.
the question was, will you accept the results of the election?
Who said that?
Regardless of who wins, yes or no, please.
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely. I would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week, or we'll have another one of these in a week. But I will.
Biden can't do another one of these in a week.
Hell no, dude.
No,
It would
he's
be
done.
much easier for me to do that than I'm running again. I wasn't really going to run until I saw the horrible job he did. He's destroying our country. I would be very happy to be someplace else, in a nice location someplace. And again, no indictments, no political opponent stuff, because it's the only way he thinks he can win. But unfortunately, it's driven up my numbers and driven them up to a very high level because the people understand
That's
it.
a fact.
When this election is over, let's see.
This election's
whiner.
over.
When you lost the first time, you continued, you appealed and appealed to courts all across the country. Not one single court in America.
Oh, this
said
is supposed to
any
be a
claims
talking
had
point.
any
He just talked
merit,
right past it.
state or local, none.
Yeah,
You
they didn't want their
continue
houses
about
burned down.
This
And
lie
looters and
about somehow there's
picketers
all this
outside.
misrepresentation, all this stealing. There is no evidence of that at all.
Stop the steal,
And I'll
baby.
tell you what, I doubt whether you'll accept it because you're such a whiner. The idea, if you lose again, you accept
He's trying
it
to get
anyway.
Trump all
You can't stand the
pissed
loss.
off.
Something snapped in you when you lost the last time.
We'll be right
This
back
is the debate
with
bullshit.
more from the CNN presidential debate live from Georgia.
Cooked.
So Nicholas Kristof has posted, I wish Biden would reflect on debate performance and then announce that his decision to withdraw from the race, throwing the choice of the Democratic nominee to the convention, someone like Gretchen Whitmer, Sheridan Brown, or Secretary Armando. So there's some names that the DNC is already starting to toss out. So I think the comments that were made earlier in the night that this might be a slaughter job to get him out might be true.
100%. The Democrats only got one home run hitter. One home run hitter. I guess it's Gavin Newsom, right? Gavin Newsom, and then he needs a big VIP, maybe Hillary. You know what
No,
I'm saying? But you want to be president with Hillary Clinton being vice president? You know, you're a gunshot away. You know what I'm saying? The Clintons got a record for that. So it's very interesting.
I think it'll be Gavin.
It's got to be Gavin, right?
That's range minded.
He's pretty. He's got
on the way
hair.
to a gun show, bro.
No, he's there.
You're there right now?
Well, I'm not in.
Looks like you're in the hotel room doing some late night action.
How did you like the
what gun show
five-star
we talking
hotel?
about here?
Oh, the first hotel?
Yeah, the 5-star hotel.
Oh, bro. Like I didn't know if I was gonna get shot or raped or something, man. Like,
oh my, where are you at? I don't want to go.
My kind of place.
it was where was that?
Chuck E. Cheese.
We were in Casper, Wyoming.
The White Ghost. Oh my,
that is
Stay
as
away.
Trump would say, that's a shithole town. It's tragic. What the left has done to Casper, Wyoming is tragic. It's a shithole. It really is.
Your facial expression, I laughed.
It's a nice hotel room. You're in a hotel room, right?
Now this is a sweet hotel room. I'm in Grinnell,
That's
Iowa.
sweet.
Right
Oh
next to
my,
down
that's
in-
nice.
It looks like a Holiday Inn.
Yeah, this is, I mean,
You're gonna get much smarter on the way out.
I don't know what it is, but they said they'll leave the light on, right?
dude, I am not
Hotel
kidding
6,
you. Like,
baby. That's no
Red
lobby.
roof in.
that hotel, like it is like something you'd see in a movie. You pull up and there's like homeless people hanging out on the porch, dealers out front doing deals. Like, bro,
That's a good time.
I mean, like as soon as I walked in the lobby, I'm like,
I got 7 grams and a 9mm, baby.
I know.
I gotta ask, who laid down in the bed?
Nobody. Luckily, I had my Whoopie with me. I laid it on top of the bed. I kept my shoes on because I was not walking around on the carpet.
Hey, we don't need to be hearing about your Woody.
Yeah, no, he had his little Woody with him. Just leave it to yourself.
Kept me from rolling over.
Hey, when you went to the front desk, did they say, "Look, we rent the hotels by the hour. How many hours do you want?"
Dude,
12
it was awful.
I'll
It
take
was
8.
awful.
We love you a long time.
There was no happy endings in that place.
So, do you think
Sounds
that
that
he's
way.
getting an injection right now, or do you think he's drinking something right now?
Oh, it's over. It's definitely 100% over. I don't understand why they even allowed him not to be drugged up in this whole situation. His facial expressions.
Dude, I thought he was hopped up.
We graded the last break. What are we going to grade this one? Trump with a A+, and what do we got Biden now at? I got
Man, no, he is drugged up. That's the problem.
He's drugged up.
You think so? Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude, he's rizzed. Like, there's no way he's not.
He's
drugged.
not blinking. There's no facial expressions. Dude, I'll bet you there's at points where he can taste colors. He's so hopped up right now.
Can't you tell by the blank stares when he looks at Trump's like?
He's
It's now
done.
time
Oh,
for the
here we
candidates
go.
to deliver their
Round
closing
3.
statements as predetermined by
Hey,
a
I'm having a great time, everybody. I'm having a great time.
Biden, you have 2
2,300 people. Thank you so much. Let's go.
He's got so much in him right now. He's going to shat himself.
Progress from the debacle that was left by President Trump in his last term. Found ourselves in a
He's getting
situation
worse.
where, number one, we have to make sure that we have a fair tax.
These are closing arguments.
I ask
This is
anyone
it.
out there in the audience.
It's like
who are
Karen
involved
Reed all
in
over
this
again.
Debate. Do you think the tax system is fair? The fact is that I said
Where's Alan Jackson? We
nobody
need Alan
making
Jackson.
$400,000 had a single penny increase in their
Cut 'em off.
taxes.
Cut 'em
And
off.
I'm not- And if I'm reelected,
You're gonna have to speak up, or we're turning off the air
But
conditioning.
This guy has increased your taxes because of the deficit.
He's going to
Number
increase
one,
your taxes
he's
because
increased
he lowered
inflation
them last
because of the
time.
debacle he left after
We'll yell at the
the
screen for you,
pandemic.
Fidgy.
And he finds himself in a position where he now wants to tax you more by putting a 10% tariff on everything that comes into the United States of America.
Tariff is not a tax on Americans,
For
homie.
example, he wants to get away with, get rid of the
It
ability
is
of
when you think
Medicare
that Mexico and
to-
China is the American.
the ability
Yeah, and I heard China now is setting up
to be able to
car
negotiate
shops,
with
electric
big
shops in
pharma.
Mexico to get away
Well,
from the
guess what?
tariffs in China.
We got it.
Yeah, Trump said he's going to tax her ass anyway. He knows what's up.
$35 for
True
insulin,
story.
$400, no more than $2,000 for every senior, no matter how much prescription they need.
What?
You know what that did?
Prescription?
That reduced the federal
Greg
debt
Gutfeld says,
debt
Jesus,
by
stop this.
$160 billion over 10 years.
They should have
Because the
gave
government doesn't
Biden
pay
some
the
Adderall. I don't know what they were
We're
doing.
going to make that available to every.
I've never
had
seen a
every
horse
man.
get beat so bad in my life.
It's happening now, and everybody in America. He wants to get rid of that. I'm going to make sure that we have child care. We're going to
And to think that this guy is running our country, that's the part that's scary.
Make sure we do something about
No, that's the
what we're doing
CIA,
about
I believe.
lead pipes and all the things
Shadow
that are
government's taking care of
causing
it.
health problems for people across the country. We're going to continue to fight to bring down.
I guess AI is
inflation
running
and give
everything.
people a break.
Jack,
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, you now have
Jack
2 minutes
Sobek
for your
just said,
closing
did
statement.
Biden bring up the migrant rapes
Like
that
so
happened
many
during his own
politicians,
watch?
this man is just a complainer. He said,
Yep.
we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to get rid of this tax, that tax. but he doesn't do anything. He doesn't do. All he does is make our country unsafe by allowing millions and millions of people to pour in. Our military doesn't respect him. We look
They
like
weren't ready for
fools
all
in
this immigration
Afghanistan.
talk.
We didn't stop
There's
Israel.
a random
It was
person
such
on
a
X that
horrible
just said
thing
that my
would have
root
never
canal
happened.
today
It
was
should
less
have never
painful than this
happened.
debate.
Iran was broke. Anybody that did business with
Or
Iran,
Joe
including
Lnu's heart
China,
surgery.
they couldn't do business with the United States. They all passed.
Pretty much.
Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, for terror, no money whatsoever. Again, Ukraine should have never happened. He talks about all this stuff, but he didn't do it. For 3.5 years, we're living in hell. We have the Palestinians and we have everybody else rioting all over the place. You talk about Charlottesville. This is 100 times Charlottesville, 1,000 times. The whole country is exploding because of you.
Bigly.
Because they don't respect you, and they have to respect their president.
Somebody
and they don't
just
respect
posted, you
throughout
better
the
vote
world.
for me or you're not retarded.
What we did was incredible. We rebuilt the military. We got the largest tax cut in history, the largest regulation cut in history. The reason he's got jobs is because I cut the regulations that gave jobs, but he's putting a lot of those regulations back on. All of the things that we've done, nobody's never seen anything like, even from a medical standpoint, right to try, where we can try space age materials instead of going to Asia or going to Europe and trying to get, when you're terminally ill, now you can go and you can get something. You sign a document. They've been trying to get it for 42 years. But you know what we did for the military was incredible choice for our soldiers, where our soldiers, instead of waiting for 3 months to see a doctor, can go out and get themselves fixed up and readied up and take care of themselves, and they're living. And that's why I had the highest approval rating in the history of the VA. So all of these things, we're in a failing nation, but it's not going to be failing anymore. We're going to make it great again.
Thank you, former
And he has
President
not
Trump,
said fake
President
news yet.
Biden. Stay with us because we have full analysis of this debate.
It's
Anderson
over,
Cooper
baby.
and
It's
Aaron Burnett
over.
start
Lights
now
out.
on
Game
camera.
over. Joe Biden was murdered. Someone call 911.
Someone get Alan Jackson up here.
Any handshakes?
0.
That's it. And that's it.